Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Esthetician Eavesdrop. Today we're doing something different. This is a video recording, so we'll get to have some snippets on TikTok, hopefully. But today I'm joined by my bestest friend ever. I feel like best friend still isn't the signification of our friendship.
No.
It's, yeah, you have best friends, whatever. But this is my bitch. Not literally like that, okay, guys?
Calm down.
But no, like, this is my soul sister, is what I'm trying to say. And so we wanted to talk today about how we found each other.
Yes.
So
And girl code. Like,
yes.
It seems like that's going out the window lately. People in friendships with females sometimes don't last as long or aren't as meaningful anymore. And we wanted to talk about how meaningful ours is and how we want to have survived life without each other, especially the last, probably we've known each other 5 years. We have had some good times, crazy times, and couldn't have made it through without each other.
Yeah. So we've known each other 5 years, and I met Cecilia is her name.
That's me. Hello.
That's her. This is also really awkward. I don't know if to look at Cecilia or to look at the camera, because, I mean, we could look at you guys on the screen. I think it's fine. It's first timers, trial and error. But anyways, we met each other 5 years ago. I had transitioned my experience as an esthetician from skincare and waxing and narrowed it down to just lashes. And she found me at a shop that I was working at. And I think you were newly divorced. And
I had been divorced 2 years at that point.
Okay, 2 years divorced. And she was seeing somebody.
Yes. At that moment, yes.
Okay, so also she didn't see me sooner because ex-husband was not a fan of lashes. And so, girl, bye. Like, we leave that over there, and now we get to have lashes. So I met you, we had lashes, and then I had a falling out with the person I was working for, and I transitioned to do my own thing, started my own business, and I think that's where it took off. Things got pretty, like, we got really tight. Like, yes. I think I left, and I was like, hey, if you want to follow me, no pressure. If you do, cool, support it. And then she followed me.
I also feel like people come into your life for a reason. And a lot of times when that happens, you have this instant connection. And I felt this instant connection with Ashley. I don't know if it was my mama heart, which people probably think is really weird. Ashley and I have a pretty big age difference. I'm almost 45 and she is
26.
So
26.
26. Ooh, whoa, wait. But, like, technically she could be my daughter, and sometimes I do feel that way. But she was pregnant at the time, and there was just this bond that I felt immediately. I think we had maybe 3 or 4 sessions before you did maternity leave. I can't remember.
I feel like it was more than that.
Maybe it was more than that. But I just feel like we instantly bonded because we immediately started texting each other and hitting each other up on social media. And then when you had your baby, I was super excited and that kind of stuff. And then our friendship just grew into what it is today, which is something absolutely amazing and beautiful. And I wish every single woman in the world could experience that and has that, because it gets you through some dark times.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, I agree with that. I feel that one of the biggest things that I went through when we were friends was my separation from my kid's dad. And I think because you had gone through your divorce and
with similar circumstances.
Yeah,
you know?
Your divorce was pretty messy for the simple fact of the actions of your ex. And I felt the same. So we were able to kind of coexist and really understand each other.
Yeah.
And I also think that you did have that motherly standpoint with me of, okay, you're going through something. You still need to, like, keep it together. But, like, I'm here for you. And I don't know. I feel like I still joke that I traumatized you.
just a little bit.
But I feel like when we're talking about friendship with women, it should feel the way that we feel for each other, in the sense of, I've put you through shit, not intentionally, but in the sense of you went through it with me.
Yes.
And we experienced this really tough time together, and we fucking made it out. And that's what we're trying to get across is you have to find your tribe of women that get you through shit. And when they get you through shit, like, you still have to have gratitude and like utmost love for somebody, because they got you through such a deep time. And I think that's where we're losing ourselves as a society, and even just as girl code. We're not really understanding that, hey, I was there for her when she had her child. I was there for her when she separated from the kid's dad. She was a single parent. I was there for her for some really deep, dark times. And then you guys have one bickering fight and it's out.
Right. Right.
Which is not the case. Like, I think it also has to do with emotional intelligence. If I'm able to call you out, or you're able to call me out respectfully,
right,
we hear each other. Because that's another thing too, is how was life after all of the trauma, right?
Right.
It was crazy.
It is. Well, and it's not always like sometimes something like so super huge and dramatic like yours was. Like, I went through a lot of stuff that you completely went on that journey with me, and where sometimes they're like, girl, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think this. And I'm like, no, but you saw me through it and loved me through it. I think that's the biggest thing, is loving your friends through it. We talk about relationships and how relationships sometimes have their ups and downs. Well, friendships do too.
Yeah.
It's how you love that person through it. And I think that's where a lot of female friendships fall apart, is because they don't continue to love each other or communicate well, and know that part of it is holding each other accountable for stuff and calling each other out in a loving way.
For sure.
You know, if it's not done in a loving way, then yeah, I understand that you could say deuces to that person, but you can do it in a loving way. And I feel like Ashley and I have done that many times with each other, and has only made us into the people that we are today.
Yeah.
In pretty good places. That there were times that we didn't know if we were going to get to the places we are right now. So it's pretty amazing.
I mean, women go through a lot. Obviously, human beings go through a lot in this experience on Earth, but there's just certain things that happen where you really don't feel like you're going to make it through. Like, when I separated from my kid's father, it was just like attacks from every single angle. It was an attack on my business. It was an attack on my character. It was an attack on my motherhood. Like, we're fighting over kids just so you don't pay child support. And it was just such a dark time. I mean, I was anorexic. I was in the thickest of depression. And I think that's where your love and Stetson's love really got me through, was like, okay, like, we see you, we know you're struggling, we're here for you. People weren't like, why are you so skinny? Why aren't you eating? You can't give up because of your kids. I think I'm allowed to fucking feel the heaviness of it. And I think that finding genuine friends who are like, dude, I feel you, I'm here for you, instead of, you need to do this, you need to do that. It's almost like we get in this fix it type of society of, we're going to fix it. Okay, you're depressed. Okay, well, just go outside and get happy. Like,
yeah.
Or sometimes there's girls that give advice like, okay, the only way to get over someone is to get under someone else. I don't see the significance in that. And I think that maybe a lot of women have lived in that realm of get under somebody else to get over someone.
Right.
And it really led to a path of nothing.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I
of
feel
emptiness.
Like I am a perfect example of that, because that's the road that I took for a long time, because I didn't value myself, because I thought, oh, well, if someone can leave me after so many years and cheat on me, then it made my value go down. And until I was able to work through that and say, actually, this is not the person that I am and not the person that I'm meant to be, and let that go, which thankfully I had my best friend by my side supporting me and saying, you're right, this is not who you are. And you deserve so much better than this. And then I found my person, who I am actually marrying on Monday.
Yes.
So,
and I'm the witness.
She is. I was at Ashley's wedding a couple months ago, and now
it's your turn.
Now it's
girl.
my turn. Who would have thought? Who would have thought we would be here?
Honestly.
But circling back to what you're talking about, I feel like, what you're saying is, people a lot of times are like, well, just be happy, or even just, oh, well, let's go out and party, or let's trying to be that kind of supportive. And I think you remember my words to you, Ash, like, you got to embrace the suck. It's going
Yeah.
to suck. It's going to be hard, but you're going to get through it. And I'm here to support you every step of the way. But you can't always sugarcoat everything. It wasn't going to be easy. I knew it wasn't going to be easy. And I told her that. And it's okay for it not to be easy. You're going to struggle. You're going to have really hard times, and that is okay, because everybody does that. And I feel like I tell people that a lot of time is everyone tries to make the world feel like, oh, you have to be wonderful and you have to be great all the time, and you don't. Like, there are days where it is okay to not be okay. And we need to learn to be that way and just love our friends through that and say, okay, you're having a crappy day, have a crappy day. You deserve that. You deserve that. And so I think that has helped get through some pretty tough times for us.
I think it's interesting in our relationship too, because I'm 26 and you're almost 45. And it's a difference in generations by 2 decades. And so I feel where I've had my issues with my parents and whatever, and the support of that it's interesting to be like, okay, not everybody from that generation is like that. And we're trying to switch things around here. And it's not so much like they were bad, they're horrible. It's just that we could do it different. And so for me, I got to a point in my life where I'm like, I have no judgment of anybody unless you're directly affecting my life. And it's not necessarily judgment, but I personally wouldn't do that. Why are you? But I think for the support as your friend and allowing you to do your experiences through life has really allowed you to find yourself. And I think if you had a friend who was like, you shouldn't do that, I don't recommend that, maybe not, or maybe you should, encourage you to do some bad shit, you might have never gotten out of it.
Very true.
I don't know.
Very true.
There's a saying my grandma always said was like, tell me who your friends are and I'll tell you who you are.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Deep. That's pretty deep.
Yeah, I feel, holy shit, when you say it, it's okay. If your friends are crazy, wild partiers, what am I going to think of you?
Right.
Right? Why would you surround yourself with that if you weren't that? But yeah, we basically want girl code to come back.
Yes.
In the sense of non-judgmental, dude, and really finding people that have had similar experiences. This is the whole realm of the podcast too, is women go through a lot of shit. We all go through similar things, I think, at least once in our life. And sometimes people go through things deeper than other people.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
And I think just knowing that there are people who go through things like that, or even like slightly feel the same way, or, oh, I didn't think of it that way. I'm glad I heard somebody say this and this. So I'm glad that we can make it okay.
Give a different perspective.
Yeah. And not, I think also a big thing that happens too is there's so much jealousy, and maybe that's like the materialistic world that we live in now. But I feel like you can't have a whole lot of that when you have your best friend and you're supporting someone. It's hard not to. It's human nature, right? Yeah. But also to be super supportive, and I always want Ashley to be the best Ashley she can be. And I think she feels the same way about me. And I feel like that's how friendship should be. And if your friend is going down that road, that they're not being the best that they can be, it is your job, and not to be their parent, but to try to steer them in a different direction by being supportive and letting them know you're not judging them. You're trying to help them be the best them.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you're going through something, you have those blinders on of you don't even see that. But I feel like that's definitely a part of girl code. Lots of times people hear the word girl code and they think that, oh, are you going to tell if their partner is cheating? Yeah, that's a big part of it. But there's a lot more to girl code, I think, in my definition of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I have addressed that a few times, is like, would you tell somebody that their husband's in your friend's DMs? Would you say? Would you not say? And I don't know. Another thing that I've been thinking about too is karma. I personally would do certain things based on what is my karma if I didn't. Right? If I didn't speak out, or what is my karma going to come back? I would appreciate somebody doing the same for me. However, the hard part about karma, specifically with an ex, is that we don't really take a step back and realize, okay, we are hurt by this individual and we do want karma to serve. But when karma serves, we don't quite understand that it still affects us because it's affecting our children.
Right.
And that is something that I've been harboring this week of, okay, we want karma to serve, but then karma is exactly what we thought karma was, but then the children are seeing it. And
right.
And then it comes back to, okay, now it's my problem still because I got to nurture my children back to, okay, we're back here at my house and we're okay.
Right.
Right. So, yeah, I don't know. I feel like I don't have any other friend besides Cecilia.
Well, and I have a different perspective of that almost exact situation that just actually popped into my head. And mine is different, right? My kids are big. My kids are off at college. Mm-hmm. But that karma that you wish for does sometimes come back to bite you.
Yeah.
And I'm witnessing that a little bit now with my kids who are in their 20s, and their dad and I divorced when they were teenagers. And then it was a messy divorce, but it really wasn't when it came to the kids. Mm-hmm. And so I don't feel like that part affected them. What has really, in my opinion, affected them is the person that their dad left me to be with. He was in a relationship with that person for a long time, which was a very toxic relationship that my kids were very privy to. Mm-hmm. And then when that relationship ended, they saw their dad go through a tough time. My thought mm-hmm. as the ex is, that's karma. That's what you get. Mm-hmm. But I didn't realize how deeply that kind of affected my kids until now that I have met my person and I am moving on with my life with them and making these really big life decisions with this person, that it's actually triggering my kids. Mm. And they weren't as excited as I would have wanted them to be about me getting married and moving on and starting my life with this person. And I think when it really comes down to it, it's that they feel triggered by what they saw their dad go through with mm-hmm. this other person, where he basically lost everything, had to rebuild himself. And I think my kids are scared to see me go through that.
Yeah.
They saw me go through a pretty hard time when their dad and I divorced. And I don't think they want to see that again. And so it's scary for them. And so that's why that excitement is not the same. Mm-hmm. They've told me many times they're super happy for me. They really love my partner, think that he's great, makes me happy. They want me to be happy. But it's still that trauma, that trigger for them that that's a little bit of the karma that I thought I wanted for my ex, but didn't realize, again, how it ended up affecting my kids and then in turn affecting me. Yeah. So it's interesting. I've never really thought about that.
Yeah, it's like a domino effect, right?
Exactly.
That's why I try so hard to continue to tell myself what you speak outward, you're going to manifest no matter what. And I have been like, fuck yeah, karma got his ass. Fuck yeah, everything that he said I was or told me I was has come back to him tenfold with every girl that he's gotten with.
Right.
But the turmoil that continues is hard because I'm sitting back like, I'm going to allow you to do you. Mm-hmm. And I got these kids. But the slight exposure they have to their father and they come back, it's starting to feel like, is the turmoil worth it?
Right.
Is the turmoil worth it? And there's people that have opinions of, okay, well, that's their dad and whatever he does is his business and whatever the girls decide they want to believe about him is on the girls. But from a motherly mama bear standpoint, to me, that's great, right? We're building resilience, but on a different look, I see it as, I feel like my kid just continues to get hurt. Mm-hmm. And I feel like she's starting to do this role reversal thing where dad's kind of not 100% solid on his emotions and the type of actions that he's doing. And the child is internalizing it. And she's going to dad to be like, what's wrong with you, dude? Are you good? And I'm just like, I don't think a 7-year-old should have to do that.
Right.
You know? But yeah, I feel like this is where we come in as girls, and you and I are able to talk. Like, you have older kids, I have younger kids. It doesn't matter the age. It doesn't matter the sex of the kids. It doesn't matter that your ex is named different than my ex. It's the experience that is similar, that is the same. And yeah, it's fucking hard.
It is. It is. And then the hard part too is people say, well, let them do what happens in their household. The hardest part is that comes back to your household.
Right.
I experienced that with my kids, even though that they were teenagers. There still was that transition phase. And I think we've talked about this a little bit. There's that transition phase. And I think that as the stable parent, you get it 10 times worse. I feel that too. I have a stepdaughter. I feel the same way that way. And it's hard. And so it's hard to not let it affect you because it in turn comes and affects your household.
Definitely.
And throws you off. So then how do you not stay involved? And how do you not try to make it better?
Yeah. I mean, my ex reached out to me this past weekend and he was like, my oldest daughter has attitude. She doesn't respect him. She doesn't respect his mom. And I've been waiting to say this because I want to say it in a way that is perceived as not me being better than them, just choosing to do it differently.
Right.
But for me specifically, as a mom, I'm very strong on respect and integrity. And this is what I told him. And I said, in my household, if I ask you to do something, you need to listen and do it. I give some grace to, okay, we're tired. It may not get done at the snap of my fingers, right? Okay, you have some time to decide. But I'll say something and I'll say, can you repeat what I just said to my child? She'll repeat it, whatever. She'll decide to do it. Anyways, I set boundaries too. If I asked you to do something, you didn't do it. Okay, now there's a consequence. Like, okay, if you're fiddling with crayons, I'm taking the crayons till you do what I asked you. Right? So it's just simple disciplinary things. I've also read books that have helped me completely do the opposite of what it seems like he's doing. And anyways, where I'm going with this is saying that he can't get a hold of my oldest. He can't get her to respect him. He can't get her to listen to him. But what I'm hearing from my child is that he yells. He doesn't speak in a respectful manner. And also there's intoxication happening around her and she knows it. Right? Like, she knows it. Why? Because of school teaches you about drugs and alcohol. And so
she's also a smart girl. She's very smart.
So I feel like there's parents that want to say, my kid is too young to understand. Your kids are never too young to understand. These kids are so freaking smart.
Well, and quickly in this day and age, kids are exposed to way more than we were, my generation, your generation even, which isn't that long ago. So I feel like you can't say they're too young because they're exposed to things way younger in this day and time. Absolutely.
And I feel like I always have open communication with my daughter. Like, I have a medical card and I sat her down and I said, this is a medical card for cannabis and the doctor prescribed this to me. This is why I do it. And it was never asked she didn't have any more questions. But when you go to school and you learn about alcohol and drugs and what they do to you, my daughter loves people so much that she's like, why would you choose to do that?
Right.
And then when she expresses that it bothers her and they continue to do it, it makes her feel like they don't care about her, which why wouldn't you feel that way? So for me, you're asking me as her mother to talk to her to respect you, but your actions are not showing that you respect her.
Right.
And that's where I'm like, I take a back seat. I don't really talk about it with him because my own personal reasons.
Do you feel like he has that attitude? And I only say this because I've been experiencing this in my life too, is parents who say, I'm the parent and this is the way it's going to be. There's not going to be any discussion. There's not going to be any compromise or going back and forth with kids. And do you feel like he's more of that kind of a parent, whereas this is how I want it to be and it's going to be this way?
Yeah, I mean, he's very much like my parents, where like, I'm the parent and you do as I say and there's no questions asked. Yeah, this is my house, my rules. And the thing about being a parent like that is you get into a power trip with your kid.
Exactly.
Your kid's like, no, like your kid. But what I'm not liking, why I'm bringing this up, what I'm not liking is that my child is the problem in his eyes.
Right.
She has no respect. She doesn't listen. But you cannot tell me you expect a 7-year-old to listen to you when you don't listen to her.
Mm-hmm.
and you're doing things that upsets her and you still do it. You don't show up for her emotionally. And she's a very emotional kid. I mean, yesterday she went to therapy. She talked about whatever happened for Easter. And she got in the car and I talked to her and I was like, well, that's good, babe. And I said, I'm happy that you're able to tell somebody how you feel sometimes. She can always tell me. And then she said, I talked about my emotions, Mom. And I said, good. And I thought, okay, she's going to say that it made her sad. It hurt her. It made her upset. And she said, I feel loved. And I was like, oh, that's nice. I'm like, who do you feel loved by? And she's, you, Mommy. And I was like, oh my God, my heart and soul. So I took that as, okay, I'm doing a good job. So I said, so does that mean I'm doing a good job? And she said, yeah. And that's when she mentioned the way that she's communicated with at her dad's house is it's turmoil. It's very loud. It's very non-respectful. It feels. Right. It's interesting that no matter what age your child is, there's still things that come up.
Yes.
And I think it's nice to have you to go to be like, hey, have you dealt with this before? What would you say? What would you do? And I think that circling back to part of Girl Code is like allowing you to work on yourself and me work on myself. It's so powerful when two people that work on themselves come together, though, because we're not coming from an emotionally heightened standpoint. We're coming from, hey, I've done the work.
Right.
And here I am.
But not also on that, not forcing that person to, this is how I did it. My kids are perfect. You should do it this way. Yeah. You know what I mean? And yes, giving advice and saying that, see this perspective, but also letting that person develop into who they need to be and who they're supposed to be. And I think sometimes people are like, well, you have to do it the way that I did it. And that's not always the case. I think you have to say it more as like advice. Yeah. There's even things that, like, as Ashley and I have been talking through stuff that I did as a parent to now looking back on it, I'm like, that maybe wasn't the best decision, or maybe I shouldn't have done that, because now I've seen how it's affected my kids in their adult life, this and this way. So I did do it this way, but maybe you could try this, and just like letting them have that freedom to be able to grow and support them to grow into who they are. I want Ashley to grow into the person that Ashley is supposed to be, not the person I think she should be or want her to be exactly like me. And I think sometimes that's where parents come into. Our parents expect us or want us to be exactly who they were and what they want us to be, instead of trying to let us grow into who we're supposed to be. I mean, I'm having that struggle with my parents, even at my age. And so I think that's something that as a friend you shouldn't do, and as a parent, is trying to make the person into who you want them to be, not who they're supposed to be.
I'm glad you said that, because I think I was battling that for a long time of like, what do I have, basically focus on what I have control of. And I don't really like the word control, because I felt like it was just a negative thing in childhood. I think you feel the same. But for me, it's like I went to a massage appointment and the person happened to be a curandero. And if you don't know what a curandero is, it's a shaman, it's a medicine man. And I've done some spiritual things, so he could sense that I was spiritually awakened. And I was just having one of those days with parenthood's hard as fuck, and I just feel I don't know what I'm doing sometimes. I don't see the joy sometimes, right? It's so fucking hard. I'm going to say it raw. Like, sometimes you just don't see the joy. And I was like, I feel like I'm working so hard for my kids, and I want them to be the best that I want them to be. And he stopped me and he was like, that's the problem, is that you want them to be who they are. He's like, your children don't come to this earth for you to teach them anything, actually. Right. He's like, the children are born into this earth as descendants of you, but for them to teach you. And I fucking sat there. My face was down, and I was like, shaman, sir, you woke me the fuck up. Because honestly, if you think about it, though, children are brought on this planet to teach you something. And my children have taught me self-control, because I'm not going to lose my shit to possibly affect them. Mm-hmm. They've taught me patience, and they've taught me unconditional fucking love, dude. The utmost unconditional love. I am just like, as long as I give my child respect, I'm not saying I'm perfect, but if I mess up, I apologize, and we move through the rupture part of it and we repair it. the reward is just so incredible that that's why I'm so protective of what is worth it to expose my precious pride and joy to.
Yes.
Right?
It's very true.
So, anyways.
Yeah. I wish more people would look at it. Is it hard to see your kids grow up? Absolutely. And I think I've told you this before. I miss my kids desperately every single day.
Yeah.
But nothing makes me happier and prouder that they're out in the world, surviving on their own, making a life for their own. That's all I want for my kids. I will never tell my kids, this is what you need to do and this is what you need to be. Or you're living with your boyfriend, you need to get married. I will never be that mom. Yeah. I want them to make choices on their own. That's how you learn, right? Yeah. That's how you learn. And I am just here to support them. If they come to me for advice, I will give them my advice. But I will never be like, this is what you need to do. Or if they don't do what I want, hold that against them. Yeah. Or make them feel guilty for not making the decision that I want them to make. I didn't raise my kids to let people make decisions for them.
Yeah.
And so I would never put them in that situation.
That's why it's like having an open mind. And even I feel like our Hispanic culture here has been very like around religion. Yeah. And I think this is part of the defiancy my ex's is that it's all church based. We go to church, we pray, we do this, we do that. But it's like actually, what is your relationship human to human? Yeah. Father to daughter, right. Grandmother to grandchild. And so for me, I don't know. I'm thankful that you see life the same way and have an open mind. And even about spirituality, religion, it's like fruit salad. You get to pick the fruits of every single religion and decide what you want to live by, right?
Right.
And so for me, it's the same though as life's experience. It's not just cutthroat A, B, C, D. We get to explore the whole alphabet. And whatever works for you, it may not work for somebody else. And I think that's where we have to drop the judgment of people. People aren't crazy because they go to therapy. People aren't crazy because they decide that they want to not be in a toxic ass relationship anymore, whether they have kids or not. People aren't foolish for staying in a relationship that they feel like they can't get out of. It's all on their own timing, right?
Or not even always relationships. Sometimes it's family and being okay with this is very toxic for me. I love you, but I cannot mentally put myself in the space with you.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Not only I don't want someone to be in a toxic relationship, but I also wouldn't want them to be in a toxic family relationship or friend relationship. Yeah. So that's
where I think it's important to change that you are not expected to be a part of something because they're your blood.
Right.
Right. No, if they treat you right and it feels like it serves you, absolutely. If it's not, take a back seat. We're going to talk about that on a whole nother episode, but I just wanted to end this episode talking about or mentioning this post I posted on my story. And it said, girl, you can be a good person and a badass. You can be humble and know what you bring to the table. You can be kind but have boundaries for your well-being. It's time to normalize being a good person and standing up for yourself. And that gave me chills.
It's so true. That is so true. I love it.
There should be no guilt for setting boundaries. Yep. And I feel like more women need to speak up. Get some huevos, girl. Anyways, it was good chatting. We never get to sit on the couch and just chat. No. But today we did. And we're going to try to do some more video stuff, but we're mostly laying down doing lashes. So this specific appointment was very cute. Anyways, if you guys want to know more about our story, you want us to get more deep on a subject, we're all about deepness and openness. So you can always just email us at estheticianeavesdrop@gmail.com with all your questions, and we'd love to answer them. But until next time, say bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening.